It was one of those quiet Saturday nights where the world outside felt still, wrapped in its usual calm. Inside, the flicker of tension sparked over something small, just a mug left in the sink. Hardly worth a second thought. We had spats before, nothing out of the ordinary, but this one felt different. Her tone wasn't annoyed or weary like it used to be. It was colder, detached. She stared straight at me with eyes that once held warmth, and in a voice that felt strangely final, she said, "If you're not happy, you know where the door is." I stood frozen for a moment, expecting her to follow with a sigh, maybe a laugh, something to soften the blow. 10 years. 10 years of scraped-together rent. Sleepless nights spent holding her through waves of depression, jobs lost, birthdays forgotten, family drama, everything. We'd survived it all together. I thought what we had was deeper than mood swings or sharp words. I thought love like ours could take a hit and still stand. But the way she said it, it wasn't heat-of-the-moment anger. It was deliberate, empty of feeling. Her thumb barely paused on her phone screen as I stood there, waiting for a sign that I still mattered. And that's when something inside me began to shift. Not dramatically, not with rage or heartbreak, just quiet realization. If someone who once begged me to stay through her darkest days could now toss me aside like an afterthought, maybe I'd been the only one still fighting for us. Maybe the version of love I was clinging to had already been gone for a long time. I walked to our bedroom with a strange calm. No slamming drawers, no storm of packing. Just a quiet decision forming with every shirt I folded. I tossed a few essentials into a duffel. Clothes, toothbrush, my laptop. Each item felt like a step towards something I couldn't yet name. I moved slowly on purpose, hoping she'd walk in, hoping she'd stop scrolling long enough to realize what was happening. She didn't. When I stepped into the hallway with the bag slung over my shoulder, she finally glanced up. Her expression wasn't fear or heartbreak. It was mild surprise, like I'd taken her up on a dare she didn't think I'd ever accept. "You're really leaving?" she asked, as if I'd just told her I was stepping out for groceries. "You told me I could," I said quietly, "so I am." She crossed her arms. Her voice was sharp, defensive. "Fine. Go, then. Just don't expect me to come chasing after you." I nodded. Once. No drama. No last words. The door clicked behind me. Soft but certain, like punctuation at the end of a sentence you didn't know was finished. I didn't go far. Just a budget motel on the edge of town. The kind with thin walls and a sagging mattress. I lay on my back staring up at the ceiling, where the paint was cracked like tired skin. My thoughts were louder than any argument we'd ever had. I kept checking my phone, hoping her name would flash across the screen, that she'd feel the absence like I did, that she'd care enough to say something. But there was only silence. Days drifted by. I stayed with a friend while searching for a place of my own. She, meanwhile, lit up social media like nothing had happened. Photos of her laughing with friends, wearing bright lipstick, holding lattes, smiling like she hadn't lost anything. It stung, but it also made things clearer. Maybe she'd already started letting go, long before that night over the forgotten mug. A week later, my phone finally buzzed with her name. I stared at the screen for a long time before answering. Her voice was different, quieter, unsteady. "You really left?" she asked. "I did," I replied. "You told me to." There was a pause. I heard the faintest sound of her breath catching. "I didn't think you actually would." We met at a quiet little cafe on a Tuesday afternoon. She looked like someone who hadn't been sleeping well. Her face was bare, her eyes softer, more fragile. We didn't jump into apologies or accusations. We just talked, really talked, for the first time in a long while. She admitted she'd been overwhelmed, lost in her own head, unsure what she truly wanted, that her words at night weren't meant to push me away, but to test how far I'd bend. "I didn't think you'd call my bluff," she whispered. I told her that love without respect isn't love. It's endurance. And I had endured long enough. Her silence that night, the way she looked through me as I packed my things, said more than any apology ever could. It told me I had become invisible. She nodded slowly, wiping the corner of her eye with a napkin. I thought you'd stay no matter what, she said. But I didn't, and not out of anger or revenge or even heartbreak. I left because I finally understood something I've been refusing to see. Staying in a place where you're no longer seen, where your presence is taken for granted, isn't strength. It's self-abandonment. We didn't rush back into anything. No romantic ending. No dramatic hugs in the rain. Just a mutual decision to take time. To heal separately. Maybe we'd find our way back. Maybe not. But one thing was certain. I wouldn't return to being someone whose worth was up for debate. Walking out that night wasn't giving up. It was remembering who I was before I bent too far trying to be loved right. Because real love doesn't threaten to walk out. It doesn't test your silence. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away quietly and finally choose yourself.